How often do you feel like you're just going through the motions? That you have this nagging sense that you're capable of more, but you can't quite figure out how to tap into it? What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't a lack of skill or opportunity, but a story you've been telling yourself about what's possible? Stick with me, because we're going to break that story down and talk about how you can start building something real starting today. The intro is a masterclass in subversion and setting a tone. It begins by borrowing the language of the establishment using a series of superlatives: best trained, best educated, best equipped, best prepared troops. This immediately paints a picture of the ultimate, unquestionably powerful force, the kind that a nation would be proud of and that any enemy would fear. You're primed to hear about their inevitable victory. But the next word, refuse, completely shatters that expectation. This isn't a story about military triumph. It's a story about mutiny. The most powerful weapon in the arsenal is choosing not to be a weapon at all. This refusal to fight is the ultimate act of defiance because it comes from within the system itself, suggesting that the cause is so unjust that even its most elite enforcers want no part of it. The second line drives the point home with a clever and culturally loaded pun. They would rather switch than fight. On the surface, it's a twist on the old slogan for a 1950s cigarette ad: Winston tastes good like a cigarette should, which had the famous jingle, uh-huh, uh-huh, and the tagline, Winston's got that taste that's right, so round, so firm, so fully packed, so free and easy on the draw. But the more direct reference is to the Tareyton cigarette ad where models with fake black eyes said, us Tareyton smokers would rather fight than switch. Public Enemy flips the slogan on its head. Switching here is a multi-layered idea. It means to change sides, to defect from the oppressive power structure and join the cause of the oppressed. It also implies a change in consciousness, switching one's mindset from blind obedience to critical thought and rebellion. By saying they'd rather switch than fight, the troops are choosing intellectual and moral alignment over physical combat for a corrupt cause. Ultimately, this intro isn't about a literal army. The troops are a metaphor for a new generation, particularly black youth. They are best trained and best educated in the sense that they are more aware of their history and systemic injustice than any generation before them. They are best equipped with the tools of knowledge, culture, and a burgeoning hip hop movement that gives them a voice. And they are best prepared for a spiritual and cultural battle, not a physical one. The intro is a declaration that this generation, armed with this powerful new awareness and the unifying force of hip hop, is refusing to participate in their own oppression any longer. They are switching sides in the larger culture war, and the song itself is the anthem and the battle cry for that defection, preparing the listener for the revolutionary message that follows. The verse kicks off by grounding the song in a specific time and place. 1989, the number, another summer. This immediately makes the track feel like a current event, a news bulletin from the streets. It's not a history lesson. It's a call to action for the present moment. The mention of the sound of the funky drummer is a direct nod to the heart of hip hop, the beat. But it's more than just music. It's a cultural pulse. When Chuck D says it's hitting your heart 'cause I know you got soul, he's doing two things. First, he's connecting with his audience, affirming their shared identity and cultural heritage, with soul being a clear reference to black music history. Second, he's stating that this music isn't for passive listening. It's designed to physically and emotionally move you to awaken something deep inside. It's the catalyst for everything that follows. The song then shifts into the role of a community organizer or a preacher on the mic. The calls to brothers and sisters and listen if you're missing are about gathering the tribe. He's speaking directly to those who feel disconnected or left out of the mainstream narrative, offering them a place in this movement. The lines, swingin' while I'm singin', given what you're gettin', paint a picture of a reciprocal exchange. The energy flows from the artist to the crowd and back again, creating a unified force. This isn't a solo performance. It's a communal event where the black band's sweating and the rhythm rhyme is constantly moving, building power through collective experience. This building energy culminates in a demand. Gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. The distinction between want and need is crucial. It's not just about desires, it's about fundamental necessities, rights, respect, and liberation. This sets up the verse's most powerful and dangerous line. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. This is a stark, chilling paradox. It means that in a system designed to suppress them, the act of speaking out, of using that constitutional right, is an inherently dangerous and life-threatening act. It acknowledges the very real risk of violence and retaliation faced by those who challenge the status quo. Therefore, the famous hook, "We've got to fight the powers that be," isn't presented as a mere choice. It's framed as a necessary act of survival, the only logical conclusion to the reality that speaking your truth could cost you your life. The music, the community, and the shared energy are all fuel for this essential fight. At its core, the chorus functions as both a mantra and a call and response, which is a foundational element in black musical traditions from gospel to soul. The phrase, "fight the power," is repeated with relentless, almost mechanical precision. This repetition isn't lazy, it's strategic. It's designed to drill the message directly into the listener's consciousness, making it unforgettable and turning a complex political idea into a simple, actionable slogan. The words become a rhythmic weapon themselves, matching the intensity of the beat. This transforms the chorus from just a part of the song into the central tenet of a belief system, something to be internalized and repeated until it becomes second nature. The structure of the chorus is crucial. The lines, "Let me hear you say," and "Let me hear you," are not just filler. They are direct instructions. This breaks down the barrier between the artist and the audience. Chuck D isn't just performing for you. He is demanding participation from you. He is acting as a rally leader, and the audience becomes the crowd, shouting back their affirmation. This creates a powerful sense of unity and collective purpose. Everyone who shouts the phrase along with the record is, in that moment, becoming part of the movement. It's a practice of solidarity, turning individual listeners into a massive, unified voice against oppression. Furthermore, the chorus serves as the anchor of the entire song. The verses lay out the intellectual and cultural justification for rebellion, the history, the injustice, the community building. The chorus, however, strips all that down to the bare, essential command, the action that must be taken. It's the answer to all the problems presented in the verses. The final line of the chorus, "We've got to fight the powers that be," acts as a crucial capstone. It shifts from the imperative command, "fight the power," to a declarative statement of shared necessity. We've got to. This "we" reinforces the communal bond and frames the fight not as a choice, but as an absolute obligation for the entire community. It's the undeniable conclusion to the argument the song is building. This verse acts as a manifesto for the song itself, explaining the purpose and power of hip hop as a tool for revolution. It starts by breaking down the very structure of the music. As the rhythm's designed to bounce, what counts is that the rhyme's designed to fill your mind. Chuck D is being incredibly self-aware here. He acknowledges that the funky, infectious beat is the bait. It gets your body moving and draws you in. But the real weapon, the thing that truly matters, is the message in the lyrics. The rhyme is the substance meant to educate, agitate, and fill your consciousness with new ideas. This distinction positions Public Enemy not just as entertainers, but as propagandists and educators using their art as a delivery system for knowledge. The verse then outlines the intended effects of this knowledge. The goal is to instill a sense of pride and to pump the stuff to make you tough. This isn't about physical toughness. It's about mental and spiritual fortitude. The music is framed as a nutrient, something essential to build resilience against an oppressive system. Calling it a work of art to revolutionize elevates the rapper's role to that of a revolutionary artist. Their canvas is the public mind, and their brush strokes are rhymes designed to make a change. This leads to a powerful contradiction. People, we are the same. No, we're not the same because we don't know the game. This captures the core tension of the fight for equality. On a human level, everyone is the same and deserves equal rights. But on a societal level, they are not treated the same because the rules of the game, the system, are stacked against them, and many are unaware of how it even works. This is where the verse pivots to its central call, the need for awareness. Knowledge is presented as the first and most crucial line of defense. Mental self-defensive fitness. It's a brilliant phrase that frames intellectual awakening and historical understanding as a form of martial arts for the mind. You have to train your brain to see through the lies and manipulations of the power structure before you can effectively confront it. The commands to bum rush the show and go for what you know are calls to action. They mean to disrupt the mainstream narrative, the show, with the truth, what you know. The ultimate goal of this mental fitness and disruptive action is visibility and enlightenment, to make everybody see. The verse argues that raising collective awareness is the essential prerequisite, the necessary step that must be taken in order to fight the powers that be. It's a blueprint for revolution that starts between your ears. This verse is the song's cultural bombshell, where Chuck D directly attacks the sacred cows of white American mythology. The target is not just individuals, but the entire system of hero worship that excludes and oppresses black identity. The repetition in "Elvis was a hero to most, but he" builds tension before delivering the brutal punchline. "He never meant to me." This isn't just a personal dislike, it's a full-throated rejection of a symbol. Chuck D explains why. Elvis is labeled a straight-out racist, a sucker who was simple and plain. The criticism here is multifaceted. It challenges the narrative of Elvis as the King of Rock and Roll, a title that often overlooks how the genre was built on the uncredited work of black artists. By calling him a racist, Chuck D frames Elvis as a beneficiary of cultural appropriation who embodied the prejudices of his time. He then extends this condemnation to John Wayne, the iconic symbol of American frontier bravery, implying his image is also built on a racist foundation. This one-two punch aims to topple two pillars of mainstream American culture, declaring them illegitimate from a black perspective. This act of tearing down false idols is immediately followed by a powerful affirmation of self. "'Cause I'm black and I'm proud, I'm ready, I'm hyped, plus I'm amped." This rejection of white heroes creates the space to assert black pride and readiness for the fight. This leads to the profound line, "Most of my heroes don't appear on no stamps." This is a brilliant critique of institutional erasure. It states that the true leaders, revolutionaries, and icons of black history are systematically omitted from the official narrative of a country that would rather celebrate figures like Elvis and John Wayne. A look back through this official history reveals nothing but rednecks for 400 years, pointing to the relentless, centuries-long centering of white history and the silencing of others. Finally, Chuck D contrasts his militant, politically charged music with the pop culture of the moment, specifically taking aim at Bobby McFerrin's "Don't Worry, Be Happy." That song's message of carefree bliss is, in the context of the struggle Chuck D is articulating, not just meaningless but dangerous. It's a form of musical pacification that encourages ignorance of social ills. His declaration that, "If I say it, you can slap me," shows just how much he despises this apathetic attitude. He then flips the script using the phrase, "Get this party started," not for mindless fun, but to kick off a revolution. The party he wants is a movement for liberation, culminating in the rallying cry of "Power to the people, no delay." The verse ends by circling back to the core mission. This entire process of tearing down false icons, affirming black pride, and rejecting complacency is all done to make everybody see, which is the essential first step to fighting the powers that be. It's about rewriting the cultural narrative as a form of resistance. The bridge might seem simple and repetitive on the surface, but its power lies in its function as a moment of intense, focused call and response. After the explosive and confrontational third verse that tore down cultural icons, the song doesn't just jump back to the chorus. Instead, it creates this transitional space where the message is distilled to its purest, most essential form. The question, "What we gotta say?" acts as both a prompt and a moment of self-reflection. It's as if the song is pausing to ask the listener and itself to remember the core message after all that complex analysis and provocation. It forces a moment of mental participation, demanding that the audience actively recall the answer rather than just passively receive it. This setup makes the response, "Fight the power," hit even harder. Each time it's shouted back, it's not just a repetition, it's an affirmation. The structure turns into a ritualistic chant, strengthening the resolve of the collective "we." This back and forth mimics the dynamic of a protest leader whipping up a crowd, transforming the song from a musical recording into a virtual gathering. The bridge serves as a drill, reinforcing the central command into the muscle memory of the listener's mind. It's the musical equivalent of a pep talk in the locker room before the team goes back onto the field. It's pumping up the audience for the final, emphatic return of the full chorus. Ultimately, The bridge is the glue that binds the song's argument together. The verses provide the why, the historical context, the cultural criticism, and the intellectual justification for rebellion. The chorus provides the what, the clear, actionable command. The bridge, however, provides the who and the how. It embodies the who by strengthening the voice of the collective community through its call and response format. And it demonstrates the how by showing that the fight is powered by unity, relentless repetition of the truth, and an unwavering focus on the primary objective. It's a moment of pure, undiluted purpose before the song launches into its final, most powerful declaration. The outro is a brilliantly subversive and intentional choice that breaks the fourth wall and completely shifts the context of the entire song. After nearly 5 minutes of a relentless, revolutionary anthem that feels like a finished and perfect statement, the track doesn't end with a final, crashing chord or a fade out. Instead, it abruptly cuts to what sounds like a raw, behind-the-scenes studio moment. Yo, check this out, man. Okay, talk to me about the future of Public Enemy. The future of Public Enemy got a... This sudden change is jarring on purpose. It pulls the listener out of the immersive, fist-pumping experience and reminds them that what they just heard was a constructed piece of media created by real people in a studio. This isn't an accident. It's a final piece of commentary. By doing this, Public Enemy makes a crucial point about the nature of the fight. The struggle isn't a song that has a neat ending. The music stops, but the movement doesn't. The outro deliberately leaves the sentence, "The future of Public Enemy got a..." hanging, incomplete. This is a powerful metaphor. It signifies that the work is not done, the story isn't over, and the future of the movement, which Public Enemy represents, is still being written. It's an open ending, implying that the next chapter depends on the actions of the listeners who just absorbed the track. The fight continues beyond the runtime of the song. Finally, this snippet frames Public Enemy not just as artists, but as strategists and organizers. The question, "Talk to me about the future," turns the focus from the immediate anthem to long-term planning and sustainability. It suggests that rebellion requires more than just passion. It requires foresight, discussion, and a blueprint for what comes next. By ending the song on this note, they transfer the energy and responsibility from the record itself to the audience. The party might be started, but now it's time to get down to the serious, ongoing business of building that future, leaving the listener with a sense of urgency that extends far beyond the final second of playback.